Slapping GTS badges on the latest 911 and charging a hefty price premium sounds like cynical profiteering by Porsche, right? Well, at the risk of sounding like I've drunk the Kool-Aid, the latest 992 series GTS brings much more than that, including the first option of a manual transmission in a 911 this side of the big dollar GT3. Let's go and check it out. Although it dates back to the 904 GTS of 1963, Porsche's GTS nameplate first appeared on the 911 at the end of the 997 series in 2010. As it did then, the GTS bridges the price gap between the Carrera S and the hardcore GT3, and the model grade is now seen across Porsche's entire range, including Boxster, Cayman and SUVs. Like the previous 991 series, the 992 GTS range spans 5 models: rear drive Carrera Coupe and Cabriolet, all-wheel drive Carrera 4 Coupe and Cabriolet, and Targa 4. Here at the business end of the GTS is the most powerful version of the 3-litre twin-turbo flat 6 fitted across the mainstream 911 range. Only the big bore turbos and the Atmo GT3 make more power. Peak power is up 22 kilowatts on the current Carrera S, while maximum torque rises by 20 Newton meters, and all GTS models come standard with an 8-speed dual-clutch PDK auto. What about the manual? The rear-drive GTS Coupe can be spec'd with a 7-speed manual transmission, although it's a lot slower than the auto. Porsche claims the Carrera GTS PDK Coupe hits 100 in 3.4 seconds, making it 3/10 quicker than before. The manual doesn't break into the threes though, despite being the lightest of them all at just 1510 kilos dry. The GTS packs big street cred too, thanks to its 10mm lower ride height and turbo-sourced components, like 6-spot front brake calipers and staggered diameter wheels. Centre lock is standard, although these are optional 5 studs. Turbo-style centre lock wheels and staggered 20 and 21-inch tyres look the part too. The sporty theme continues inside too, with this black anodised dashboard insert and fake suede-like material that Porsche calls Racetech, standard on the steering wheel, gear shifter, dashboard and armrests. But if you want this fancy yellow stitching or suede on the ceiling or the sun visors, you'll have to pay extra. If you're familiar with 911s, you'll know that interior storage space is tight. Cargo capacity is limited to the frunk up front and the rear seats, which I won't even attempt to get into. But enough of the housekeeping. Let's go and do what everyone buys a 911 for. It only takes a very short time behind the wheel of the GTS to realise this is the sharpest, loudest, and whether it's automatic or manual, most involving 911 to drive this side of the GT3. That crackle on overrun is just intoxicating. Less sound insulation and a new sports exhaust system with map-controlled internal flaps results in more noise right across the rev range, and an awesome snap, crackle and pop on the overrun. And the suspension changes and lower ride height make it feel more agile than any other 911 Carrera. With peak power at just 6,500 revs though, the 3-litre turbo Boxster doesn't rev anywhere near as freely as the glorious 4-litre Atmo 6 in the GT3, and nor is it as flexible as the 911 Turbo's 3.8-litre flat 6. But with crisp throttle response, noticeably more power than lesser 911s, and higher peak torque from just 2,300 revs, the GTS engine delivers acres of performance, enormous drivability, and is a perfect match for this chassis. I'm a big fan of manual transmissions, and this one, despite having 7 speeds, which makes selecting the right gear a bit of a lottery, thank God there's a gear selection readout on the dash, makes the rear drive GTS Coupe just as much fun and even faster than the 6-speed Caymans. Thanks to its shorter final drive ratio, it's also easier to get off the line than the Cayman GT4 manual. Still, 7th is there only for economy, and all those gates mean it isn't always easy to get right. It's not rubbery like the manual in my V8 Ute, but nor is it a buttery extension of your arm like 911 manuals of old. But perhaps the deal breaker here is that the base GTS manual coupe is not only a lot slower than the 8-speed PDK Auto version, but also less efficient. Nobody buys a 911 for its efficiency though, right? And out in the real world, the manual GTS coupe feels like it's the fastest and most engaging of them all. It might cost about 80 grand more than a base 11, but the GTS delivers a load more power, pace, noise, agility and street cred. And for 90 grand less than a 911 turbo, it brings a similar footprint, suspension and brakes, while also undercutting the less user-friendly GT3 by about 55,000. So whether you want to call it a cut-price GT3 or the Goldilocks 911, there's no doubt the new GTS combines performance with livability better than any other 911. If there's a more complete sports car out there for around 300k, I haven't driven it.